plate. Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40! Can't wait! Let's go!
Good morning. It is a football Sunday, and we are back doing. Listen, I had to give like a shout out, pay homage to my man Chase, CR Media, and the Sunday Morning Drive. And as we bring this back come playoff season into the Super Bowl week, as I welcome two of my Sports Empire family members, Chase from CR Media, Wrestling Everything. How you feeling?
I'm good, man. How about yourself?
Phenomenal. Capital P, lowercase h for the Philadelphia. And then in the upper right corner, I got the key to the city, the key to the empire. What's happening? It's me. It's Key. How you feeling?
What's going on? Great morning. Talk about some football. Let's go.
I'm ready. I'm EA Sports. I'm in the game. We got a lot to talk about, but what do we need to talk about first? It needs to be that game that happened last night. And honestly, my heart goes out. My heart goes out to the third, fourth string running back for the Indianapolis Colts last night, who dropped the ball because I don't know if they even win the game if he catches it. I want to be clear when I say this. You can blame it on Shane Steichen, and I'm okay with that. Blame it on Shane. Blame it on Shane for what he did. I'm fine. I don't know how that pass goes to Goodson and not Jonathan Taylor, Zach Moss, who played in the game. It just can't be the third string running back that has 6 receptions on the year. And even if he does catch the ball, there's no guarantee the Colts win that game. When you watch that football game last night, it was very evident that Houston's pass rush and pass defense showed up in Indianapolis last night. And the only thing that was working for Indianapolis was running the football. So the thought process on the game last night was, shout out to DeMeco Ryans. We'll talk about him a little bit later when we get into our Coach of the Year conversation. Shout out to Will Anderson Jr., Derek Stingley Jr., and that Texans defense. But shout out to C.J. Stroud, man. C.J. Stroud started that game dropping a dime 75 yards down the field to Nico Collins. I'm going to start with you, Chase. Your thoughts on the game, your thoughts on the Goodson drop. Does it change the outcome in your opinion? Like, let's just say he catches the ball, he falls down, he gets the first down. It's first down for Indianapolis. How does that game end?
I don't see it ending different. We've had these conversations before, man. Like, if my brother didn't have nuts, he'd be my sister. If my sister had nuts, she'd be my brother. Especially with my two Philly fans in here, if that pass interference call,
whoa. It's not. No, that's not. This is we're welcoming you back. This is not how we do this.
But you know where I'm going. I mean,
I do. There's no need for it. It hurt my feelings.
Absolutely. I just want to say that I love the talent that the Indianapolis Colts have. I've always been a low-key Gardner Minshew supporter. Love Jonathan Taylor, love Josh Downs. But CJ Stroud and what they're doing with the Texans. I don't think the game comes out any different. I think the team that was supposed to win won.
Key, your thoughts on the game last night? Jonathan Taylor, 30 carries, $188. They ran for 227. They only threw for 141. Your thoughts on the game? If he catches the ball, my man Goodson comes down with the ball. Tyler Goodson comes down with it, makes the catch, makes the play. How does that game go forward?
I mean, if he made that, well, first off, I don't care if it's not say funny, but after the end, you seen Shea Steichen tell Gardner Minshew that was on you. He mouthed it, and they ran it. He was like, "That's on you." He underthrown the ball, but still, the ball hit his hands. It hit your hands, it's catchable. Like literally, he dropped it. He straight dropped it. If he catches it, he can turn upfield, maybe go out of bounds. Maybe it could have ended differently then. They had to get a yard. He would have got the yard. Possibly would have got out of bounds. They could have drawn up something else. Maybe Jonathan Taylor runs it in. It might have it came, might have, because they was only down 6. They missed extra point. They possibly could have won it, but he didn't catch the ball. Goodson in that instance wasn't clutch. He just straight dropped it. If he makes the pass, I believe it could have turned out differently. Maybe it would have been a 4-down situation. Maybe Texans would have stopped them because they stuffed Jonathan Taylor before on certain plays. So I think maybe it would have been a little bit differently, but you gotta catch the ball. It's in your hands. It touches. If the ball touches your hands, it's catchable. You gotta catch it.
So the thing I want to follow up with that is this, right? He catches the ball. There's a minute and change left. I think it's a minute 40, a minute 50. Actually, it was a minute 6. I just looked it up in front of me. They would have 1st and 10 at the 13-yard line. Houston would have 3 timeouts left. Assuming that he gets the first down, Houston uses all 3 of their timeouts. Assuming that Indianapolis scores the touchdown, kicks the extra point, do we really think that CJ Stroud with 40 seconds left isn't getting them in the field goal range to win that football game? Do we really think that the leg of Kymie Fairbairn, who just missed an extra point, is going to miss that 50-yarder, that 47-yarder? I don't think so. I think no matter what happened with that catch, I think Houston still wins the football game. However, and I'm just not going to preface this too much, but I will say this. It's a great stepping stone for both Indy and Houston to be in the situation. Indy with the backup quarterback all year with Gardner Minshew, missing Jonathan Taylor the first 4 weeks of the season. Houston with a rookie quarterback, a rookie head coach, and all the injuries they've been plagued with all year. I think both teams are headed in the right direction, and I think the AFC South for years will be a lot more competitive. It's no longer the AFC sucks. It's the AFC South, right? The South is better than the NFC South by a lot, and it's no longer the laughingstock division in the NFL. So we can say that. We have a future. We have CJ Stroud, Anthony Richardson, Trevor Lawrence, Will Levis. You have 4 young quarterbacks to lead this division for the upcoming years. I don't want to touch too much on Pittsburgh, Baltimore, because the game doesn't mean too much unless certain things happen, but we will talk about that. But I will ask this. You watched the game last night, played in turf, perfect conditions in Indianapolis. You watched the game yesterday afternoon, played in snow, rain, wind, and sleet. You as a football watcher, how do you prefer watching football? Do you want that slop that Pittsburgh and Baltimore played in, or do you want that turf atmosphere that was played on in Indianapolis?
I think it adds aspects to the game. I think it adds unknown variables to the game, which is exciting as a watcher. If every game was played in 75-degree domes on, perfectly manufactured turf or grass, I think it would be boring. I think those road games where people have to go to Lambeau Field and it's a snowing tundra, or in this case, wet and sloppy and guys are sliding around and stuff like that. If this was a Jerome Bettis and a Ray Lewis type game 10 years ago, that'd have been hard hitting guys that have walked away pulling mud out of their face. I love that stuff. Like I said, I think it adds different variables to the game that make it more exciting.
Key?
Give me the unconditioned weathers. Give me the snow and the rain, and because you got to think differently. You can't always pass in the rain and the snow. You gotta think differently. You might see some running plays. Just go back and think about the Shady Bowl game when it was couldn't see nothing but the line. You couldn't even see the lines, and all I had to do was run. Josh Allen did it. I think it was a couple years ago in the snow with the running game. So you got to think differently when with the weather. So you playing in sunny conditions, it's going to be kind of not fun. But I do like the elements of the game. Football it's meant to be played in not good weather. That's how I think about football, especially late in this time of the season. You want to see snow, sleet, rain. You want to see those conditions, and I like it.
I like a mixture of both. Like I will say this. I think I haven't made any bones about it. My favorite games to watch are games that are played in the Rose Bowl. I love that environment. Give me a 4:30 kickoff at the Rose Bowl. So it starts in the sun, and by the second half kickoff, it's kicking over that Auburn-looking beautiful sun drop in the background. And it's, beautiful weather conditions. It's played on real grass. Like, give me that, right? Like, that would be ideal. But I would prefer climate, 30-degree weather, chills, some rain, some snow. I don't want it to be like, I guess once in a while getting that shady game where you're playing in the snow is fun. But if you're asking what I ideally want to watch, I want to watch 30 degrees. I want to watch people cold and hitting. But, that Rose Bowl setup is pretty beautiful. So I like a little mixture of both. So what I want to do is I want to run through some of the games that don't matter today. We're not going to give crazy picks on them. And then we're going to really park a lot on the games that matter, the games that are really going to affect playoff seeding. But I do need your picks on some of these games. Like for instance, we're not going to talk about Cleveland, Cincinnati at all. Cincinnati's eliminated. Cleveland's locked into where they're at. It doesn't make sense. Who cares? It doesn't matter. So, but Detroit, Minnesota, it's not a huge game. Detroit's kind of locked into that 2-3. Minnesota still has a chance to make the playoffs. So I still want to get your prediction on that game. So we'll start there. We'll start with the 1 o'clock hour. We'll hit up a couple of those games, but then we'll park a lot on the games that really matter towards seeding. Minnesota is playing their last game of the season. It looks like they're, obviously their quarterback issues that they've had throughout the year. They're going to go with Nick Mullins today versus Detroit in Detroit. Detroit, I don't know how much they have to play for, right? So Detroit's in a very similar situation as Philadelphia. They need some weird things to happen. They need Dallas to lose to Washington for them to improve their seeding at all. So I don't know how motivated they're going to be. Your thoughts on Minnesota traveling to Detroit, Minnesota hanging on by a thread to a playoff spot, Detroit kind of locked in, maybe not. What do you like in this game, Chase?
I like Detroit. I think after obviously the fiasco that happened last week, I think knee biting Dan Campbell is going to come out with his guys prepared. We don't like playing division rivals twice in the season, right? You don't want to play a division rival. You don't want to meet them again in the playoffs. So come out, be angry, and make sure Minnesota doesn't see the playoffs at all.
Key, what's your thoughts?
This game might be interesting only because Minnesota is going to be playing the best of their ability because they have a chance to be in the playoffs. The Lions, they're already in. Do they win to maybe get a better seeding as possible? But I think Minnesota is going to play hard. I don't think they're going to win, though. I still think the Lions will prevail in this game and get a victory.
I like Minnesota, man. I really think that these two teams played just a few weeks ago. They had a very close game in which Detroit came out on top 30-24, but Minnesota was driving. This is a game where I feel like Detroit's going to be looking ahead to the playoffs and Minnesota's going to be punching, scratching, clawing to be able to get into the playoffs. I'm going to lean towards Minnesota today. I'm not in love with that pick. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I think that they're going to blow them out or it's one of my best picks, but that's where I'm at. I'm at Minnesota. Another game we got to touch on the 1 o'clock hour is Jacksonville at Tennessee. Now, they asked Mike Rabel about this game this week, and he goes, well, the game doesn't mean anything. You're kind of eliminated. He's like, what gives you guys motivation to go out there and win the football game? And he looked at the report. He goes, because losing sucks. And then he said, it effing sucks. Do you think Tennessee could pull off the upset at home, knock Jacksonville basically out of the playoffs? There's only 8 teams that are alive for playoff berths in the AFC. There's 8. There's Pittsburgh. There's Jacksonville. Like, people that haven't locked up a playoff spot. Buffalo. They're the 3 teams for 2 spots. Now, we'll talk about Buffalo, obviously. But if Jacksonville loses this game, Pittsburgh gets in. Your thoughts?
I think Jacksonville loses.
Okay.
I've been big on them all year. They've hit a slump, and I think they blow it.
Okay. I see. Before Key goes, I'm gonna just remind Key of who's there. You have Doug EP there. I think Doug Peterson will have this team ready. That defense went out there last week, pitched a shutout, albeit versus Carolina. They looked great. They seem to get Trevor Lawrence back today. Looks like that they'll be close to being healthy as a team. Obviously, I don't think Trevor Lawrence is even close to being healthy this year. He had that high ankle sprain. He came back and played on. He had the shoulder injury. He came back and played on. Now he has this shoulder injury that he's coming back and supposedly going to play on today. Key, do you think Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence can get it done this week, or do you think that Tennessee pulls the upset?
I had to really think about this game only because I'm like, is T-Law playing? I know they were saying it was a game time decision. We don't know. We still don't know if he's playing or not. But this is an important game for them to win because I just want
to read this out for you. It says Lawrence, who is listed as questionable for Sunday's game against the Titans, is trending in the right direction ahead of the contest 1 p.m. Eastern Standard kickoff. Report by Ian Rappaport of NFL Network. So I just assume that he's going to be playing based off that report.
So if he plays, they got to win. Tennessee, even though it's the Titans, their defense is okay. I mean, it's not bad. They're able to get 2 quarterbacks. So what I see this defense possibly getting to Trevor Lawrence is definitely possible. Doug's going to have them ready. Using Travis Etienne, getting your receivers involved. Jags defense isn't that bad either. Josh Allen, Lumikin, they can get after guys. So I'm gonna say Jacksonville can pull this off. I don't think it's gonna be a blowout though. It's gonna be tough. But I think Jacksonville
definitely don't think it's gonna be a blowout.
Can pull this off. Maybe it's gonna be I say 7-point game.
Okay, so Christian Kirk is questionable for today's game, trying to make his return from the groin injury. Zay Jones is expected to make his return. You do have to remember the last 2 weeks that Trevor Lawrence has played, he has played without Christian Kirk and Zay Jones. Zay Jones being his security blanket and Christian Kirk being his number 1 guy over there. If they get everyone back today, I think Jacksonville rolls. If they don't, I think it's a very tight game, and I think Jacksonville will squeak it out. But I'll give the edge to Doug EP. Being in that big moment before, I think that Jacksonville will get it done. As we head into so the next conversation is just going to be called NFC South, right? Today, I don't even want to bore you guys with New Orleans playing at home versus Atlanta. I'm going to ask you guys a simple question. Does Baker Mayfield go on the road and win a game at Carolina? Does that happen? Because if that happens, New Orleans, Atlanta is irrelevant for the NFC South. Now, they're not irrelevant for other parts, and we'll talk about that in a second. But does Tampa Bay, does Baker's Bucks go into Carolina and get a win versus a team that is in disarray in Carolina?
I think they do. I think I wasn't big on, or I wasn't much of a believer. I think Baker can do enough to beat the Carolina Panthers.
Okay, what you think? Do you think that Baker can go into Carolina and get that W?
Yeah, they can beat Carolina. Again, if they don't win, they're pretty much, the Saints and Atlanta will be that number 4 seed. So it's best to take care of business regardless who it is. 1-2, 1-15, 1-17, 2 and whatever. You got to get the job done, and they have the weapons to beat Carolina.
See, I think Tampa Bay wins too, but I don't want to discredit the New Orleans-Atlanta game for a reason. I told you earlier in the show that I have Minnesota upsetting Detroit. There's a lot of things that can happen today that would lead to have New Orleans in the playoffs. I have New Orleans beating Atlanta in NOLA. I don't care who's starting at quarterback. I think this is a game that Atlanta needs to lose. And I think that the players need to come together and quit on their coach, because I need Arthur Smith out of that damn franchise yesterday. You have Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Kyle Pitts. You have all this talent. You got Desmond, get rid of her at quarterback, and Taylor Heineke. I need them to bring it. Listen, I hope Chicago makes the mistake of trading Justin Fields, and we'll talk about that in a second. But I need Atlanta to go out there and give Chicago whatever they want to get Justin Fields. Good morning, Linda. How are you guys? So New Orleans beats Atlanta. Is anyone on the other side of the fence there? Do you guys want to make an argument for Mr. Heineke, for Mr. Ritter?
I'll tell you what I want. I want Atlanta to lose. I want Arthur Smith to lose his job, and I want them to hire Eric Bieniemy. I don't want Bieniemy to take the job in Washington. I would
love Eric Bieniemy to go to Atlanta. Give Eric Bieniemy, Justin Fields, and those weapons. Yeah. They're a Super Bowl team. I don't care. You can call me crazy. Atlanta is one of the top 4 teams in the NFC within the next 2 years if that happens.
Yeah,
Eric Bieniemy.
Obviously, everybody knows that Ron Rivera, or the report came out that Ron Rivera is not going to be returning as the head coach. I really hope that Eric Bieniemy doesn't take the head coaching job there. Probably more than likely going to happen, but I know that Eric Bieniemy is interviewing for the Atlanta head coach job. I would love for him to take that job instead. That is the much more appealing. That is the sexier job of the two, by a long shot.
You're spitting facts. Key, what are your thoughts on the Atlanta Falcons, the New Orleans Saints, and what could possibly transpire after the season?
I need Mr. Home Depot and Arthur Blank to put his money where his mouth is. Get rid of Smith, because he should have been booted last year. Yeah, and they're just a quarterback away, like you said. I don't know if it'll be Justin Fields. I know Chicago is pretty. They may not trade him, but anyway, whoever gets in that quarterback spot, they're a quarterback away. Their defense isn't bad. Their offensive line is good. They have weapons. Again, I like the Saints in this game, but new coaching staff just gets to get rid of Smith. It's time for him to go.
See,
but Eric Bieniemy definitely, like Kay said, is the sexy choice for that situation.
My personal opinion is right now my favorite team is the Philadelphia Eagles. My second favorite team, my AFC team, is the Jacksonville Jaguars. Atlanta would leaps and bounds past Jacksonville and be my second favorite team. They already have an eagle in front of their stadium. I don't know if you've ever been to a Mercedes-Benz Superdome. That is not a damn Falcon. I took a picture next to that thing. That is the 1990 Philadelphia Eagle. You can buy it yourself all you want.
I'm going to be there this year, so I'm going to go see what you're talking about.
I'm telling you, it's an eagle. Go look at the picture up. It's insane. It's an eagle. It's a damn eagle. I took a picture next to it. They could be my secondary Eagles. They could be my Eagles B. Give me Eric B. Give me Justin Fields, and that would be my squad. Philadelphia Eagles, Atlanta Falcons. I'm right there. But we have to continue down the turnpike. Speaking of Justin Fields, 4:00 game, Chicago Bears take on the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay is in a win, and they are in scenario. They're playing at home. The Love Boat is got steam. They've got the water out of the boat, and Green Bay controls their own destiny to make the playoffs after winning on the road at Minnesota last week. Can they finish the story? Yes, I'm using a Cody Rhodes reference. Can they finish their story and make it to the playoffs? Will Green Bay win at home versus the hot Chicago Bears? Chase, go ahead, brother. No?
The Green Bay Packers defense is 20th ranked in the league. Chicago is phenomenal at rushing the ball. I think Chicago, if they're smart, they run that ball all day today.
Key?
I'm on the love boat train. Knowing that Green Bay has to win to get in, I think Jordan Love can do it. I love their receiving core, young team, young receivers. Jaden Reed, Wicks, Romeo Dobbs. I love their receiving core. AJ Dillon, Aaron Jones, when he's healthy, is a good running back. And the defense, like Chase said, not so much.
They have a lot of first-round talent on that defense. And that defense looked really good last week versus Minnesota. But you're right. Brett said it in our chat all year, how their defense plays soft zone defense. They play off coverage. They allow everything underneath. And I think that plays into the hands of Chicago. Key, who do you have in this football?
I got Green Bay. I still think Green Bay can pull this out. So I'm gonna go Green Bay here.
I'm going Chicago. I made a prediction on sideline to sideline. I think it was like 5-6 weeks ago, where Chicago needed to win out, right? They needed to win every football game to make the playoffs. I was a 10-point lead with 6 minutes left at Cleveland, a dropped Hail Mary away from making the best prediction ever. I had the Bears in the playoffs as the 7th seed. They're going to miss it by the skin of their teeth as they go 8-9. Their defense has been incredible down the stretch. Ever since they brought in Montez Sweat, that defense has looked better across the board. I like Chicago. They're opportunistic. And guys, I think one of the biggest snubs of the Pro Bowl is that Jalen Johnson isn't starting. Guy's been the best corner in football. You're not paying attention. Chicago's Jalen Johnson has been the best cornerback in football this year. I'm not saying he's the best corner. Like, I'm not saying he's Sauce Gardner or he's PS2 or he's Jalen Ramsey or he's any of those guys. But this year, there's nobody been better. He's not Air Jair, but he's been great this year.
I'll meet you halfway there. I think he's been good. Obviously, with me being a Chiefs fan, L'Jarius Sneed is.
L'Jarius Sneed's good. He's not
good.
He's been good.
Been good.
He's been good.
You just called him the biggest snub of the Pro Bowl.
No. I think that Jalen Johnson should be starting.
Yeah. Okay. You know that Sneed wasn't even invited. Didn't get an invitation.
Yes.
But like I said, I'll meet you out. Yeah. Next game.
All right. So I'm taking Chicago in that football game. We'll move forward. I think listen, you look at the end of their schedule, the way they've ran out. They beat Minnesota 12-10. They beat Detroit 28-13. They lost to Cleveland on the Hail Mary. They beat Arizona 27-16. They smacked Atlanta last week 37-17. They're going to end this season at Green Bay with a huge W, and I feel it.
Before we go on to the next game, let me ask you this.
Sure.
Because in Gene, you and I have kind of been on the same page on this. I love Justin Fields.
Yes.
Love it. I think he's very talented. I think he has the potential to be a great player. Football would not be the sport it is without the fact of, coaches coaching, players playing. And we all have acknowledged that Justin Fields got thrown into a really crappy situation. There is still talk that Chicago could move on from Justin Fields. If they move on from Justin Fields, would that be one of the biggest mistakes they've made in the past 10 years?
I mean, Chicago's full of mistakes, Chase.
Agreed.
They've done this over and over again. And here's the problem, right? They're going to do the exact same thing they've done 3 straight times. You guys don't remember this, and it's okay. I will enlighten you. I will remind you that John Fox used to be the coach of the Chicago Bears. And what did they do with John Fox? They let him draft a rookie quarterback in Mitch Trubisky, gave him 1 last year. They stunk. They fired him. They hired Matt Nagy. They didn't marry the coach to the quarterback. Matt Nagy does not have his handpicked quarterback. They go on and not have a great career over there in Chicago. And what do? They get rid of Mitch Trubisky. They draft Justin Fields in Matt Nagy's last year. Justin Fields was Matt Nagy's draft pick. The next year, they fire Matt Nagy and they hire Mr. Eberflus, a defensive coordinator from the Indianapolis Colts. Hired him. Didn't marry the coach to the quarterback. Justin Fields is Eberflus's guy now. Not really his handpicked guy, but that's the guy he's riding with. They're going to move on from Justin Fields. They're going to keep Eberflus. They're going to draft Caleb Williams, and they're going to recycle the damn story. In 1 year, when Caleb Williams doesn't look great, they're going to fire Eberflus. They're going to hire another coach, and they're not going to marry the coach to the quarterback. We've seen how that played out in Carolina. Frank Wright, Deuce Staley, Josh McCown all wanted C.J. Stroud. They made it very open and very obvious. David Tepper wanted Bryce Young. You're going to deal with who we draft because we're drafting them. 11 weeks into the season, all of them are fired. They fired every single person on that Carolina staff that wanted C.J. Stroud over Bryce Young. You're not marrying the coach to the quarterback. The shirts are coming out. I'm getting the shirts made. Marry the coach to the quarterback. That's how you're successful in this league. So if you do move on from Justin Fields this year, you better move on from Matt Eberflus. And if you don't, and you draft Caleb Williams, the definition of insanity is very simple. You do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result.
What's the definition of insanity?
So, Trevor Lawrence is playing Christian Kirk's out.
Okay. All right. We got to move on, and that's okay. We have a worthless game in Denver and Las Vegas, and I don't want to talk about that too much, but I will talk about that as far as coaches near the end. Philadelphia plays at New York. Tickets are like $24. You could go for less than it costs to park at MetLife because that's how embarrassing the New York Giants are. Philadelphia has been on a tailspin. The city is going crazy. I want to make a statement. I listened to A.J. Brown's presser all 14 minutes, and I don't know why. Call me a homer. I've been negative on the Philadelphia Eagles for the last 6 weeks. Call me a homer. Call me a moron. Call me a dope. I think they turn it. I think they turn it around today. I think that presser meant something. Him like building a whole escape room and having the Eagles go through an escape room together and having like a team bonding exercise and the team coming together. There's talent there. I think coaching is very bad, particularly the defensive side of the ball. The Eagles are going to get a little help back with Zach Cunningham today, and they'll get Darius Slay back for the playoffs. Keely Ringo will start again opposite of James Bradbury, who had a very good game the last time these two teams played when Philadelphia played New York. Had a very bad game last week when he got torched across the middle, flat-footed versus Arizona. I don't care who you think wins the game. I do want to ask you, do you think Philadelphia is a one and done in the playoffs?
No.
Key, is Philadelphia one and done?
I want to say Part of me is saying yes, but then a part of me is saying no. I understand when the playoffs come, it's 0-0, no records. It starts fresh, clean slate. Playoffs is a different thing. Hopefully, a switch clicks. If everything stays the same or however, we would play Tampa. Now, if the football gods have Dallas lose, then we'll get that number 2 seed, I believe, and then we will play whoever the last seed is, whether Green Bay, Minnesota. I mean, so it'll. I mean, it's there in our face because this only team we really got to worry about, the 49ers. Everybody else is we've beaten Tampa, we've beaten the Rams, but again, the playoffs are different. So it's 50-50 for me right now.
I just feel like the Philadelphia Eagles need to find a way to get one more home playoff game. Because this could be your last year, Jason Kelce. This could be your last year, Fletcher Cox. This could be your last year for a lot of veteran Brandon Graham. And you cannot have Arizona be the last time that they play in the link. I can't have that happen. I just feel like maybe I think it's too WWE-ish, but I feel like the story is not finished. I think Philadelphia rights the ship this week. I think they absolutely blow out New York, and I think they start to look right. I believe that, but we'll get into more Philadelphia next week as they're in the playoffs. Seattle plays Arizona in another game where Seattle wins, and they're in. They're playing at Arizona this week. Do we think the Seattle Seahawks lock in their playoff spot by beating the Arizona Cardinals in Arizona? Chase is on you.
No, I don't. I think, and I'm not an Arizona Cardinals fan. I'm not real big on them. This is just my gut feeling and kind of watching the way they've played the past couple of weeks. I think Arizona plays spoiler today. Division game. Listen, man, I said it earlier. The division games, we all know division games are harder. You got to play the same team twice in your division during the season. You don't want to play them again the third time in the playoffs. The other thing I don't like is you shouldn't put yourself in a position of that last game when the NFL likes to schedule those last games of the season against a divisional rival. You don't want that game to be a win and you're in type of thing. You already want to be in. You want to fight for a better spot. Fine. You want to lock up home field. That's fine. But you want to already be in. Because if you go into week 18 or whatever, and it's against a division rival, I don't like that. Especially a division rival that has nothing to lose, nothing to win, nothing. They're just going out there to play to and if they do win, they crush your dreams. I don't like it. I think Arizona wins.
Key, what's your thoughts on this one?
I mean, surprisingly, Arizona has been, they scrappy. Since Kyler Murray returned, Kyler Murray's done Kyler Murray things, taking off when need be, throwing downfield to no-name receivers we don't know of. And they, it seems like they're playing, the team's playing with Kyler, like they're not against him. I wouldn't be like, the whole division game, divisions game are played harder more than any other game because it's the division. And the week 18 is all about spoilers. I can see Arizona spoiling it, but I still think Seattle could pull away with it. But it's not. You can see it happen.
I have Arizona. I think Arizona plays spoiler, and I think it's because Seattle's not that good of a football team. I never thought they were that good of a football team. I don't think Geno Smith's that good of a quarterback. I think that. Say what you want about Jonathan Gannon. He has that Arizona Cardinals team playing inspired football. And I think Arizona pulls out the win today in the desert. And I think it creates a little bit of so you guys got to remember, I said I have Arizona beating Seattle. I have Minnesota beating Detroit. I don't, guys, I'm just giving you a little bit of piece of information. I think the New Orleans Saints take that 7th playoff spot in the NFC. I think the New Orleans Saints sneak in and get that 7 spot. I believe that's where it lands. I think the chips fall right there. And when you look at the NFC playoff picture, You have Green Bay, Seattle, and New Orleans with Minnesota. All 4 of those teams are still alive, and Atlanta's got a slight chance of making the playoffs too. So they have 5 teams that are still alive that aren't Tampa. So 6 teams haven't clinched this playoff spot. There's only 2 spots left. I think those spots go to Tampa, and I think the 7th spot goes to New Orleans. And based on Chase's predictions, he had Chicago also, and he had Arizona also. So you have New Orleans to get in that 7th spot also. So we have the same 7. And based off Key's predictions, Key has Tampa winning and being the 4 seed, and she has Green Bay locking up the 7 seed, the Love Boat. That's what she's on. Next couple games don't matter, right? I think Kansas City is in a situation where they can't move at all. They're the 3 seed. They're resting a lot of their wide receivers today. They might be out with injuries. They might be out for precaution. They're playing a Los Angeles Chargers team that's absolutely in disarray. I think that the 3rd stringers could win.
I heard Kansas City's wide receivers are having a surgery done where they have suction cups, micro suction cups
on their hands.
Yep.
They gotta get the stick them.
It's a new cosmetic surgery. They're gonna be like Spider-Man come next weekend. So
I'm with it. I'm rooting for them. Los Angeles Rams, San Francisco 49ers means nothing. Does not matter.
Wentz versus Darnold. That's gonna be fun.
Wentz versus Darnold. I didn't even think about that. That's hilarious. But I will talk about this game for a second before we get into the main event of the evening. The Dallas Cowboys are traveling to Washington, 13-point favorites over the Washington Commanders. We've seen this story before. Sam Howell's 2nd start in the NFL, Week 18 last year, 26-6 win. Washington over Dallas. Dallas owns Washington in Dallas. In Washington, though, some weird things tend to happen. I'm not going to ask you if they're going to win because the percentages are low. What I'm going to ask you is what % chance do you give Washington to pull the upset over Dallas? That's it. Just a percentage. Whether it's 5, whether it's 30, I don't expect you to be over 50, and that's okay. What % chance do you give Washington to pull the upset over Dallas? Chase.
25.
I like that. 1 in 4. If I flip a coin 4 times and it lands on heads once, I'm okay with that.
I'm massively okay with it.
I'm all right with that. Look at Damian Hernandez, the 45% mark. I'll take it. Key, what's your number?
I'm around that 20-25% because I'm going to laugh because it's going to be hilarious to me if it happens. Thank you, Washington, if in advance if it does happen. But I can see that 25 range mark.
Well, I have something for you guys all because I'm an entertainer and that's who I am. Great moments are born from great opportunity. And that's what you have here tonight, boys. That's what you've earned here tonight. 1 game. If we played them 10 times, they might win 9, but not this game. Not tonight. Tonight, we play with them. Tonight, we stay with them. And we shut them down because the Cowboys choke. Tonight, the Commanders are the greatest football team in the world. You were born to be football players, every one of you. And you are meant to be here tonight. This is your time. Their time, it's done. It's over. And I'm sick and tired of hearing about what a great football team the Cowboys have. Screw them. This is your time. Now go out there and take it. I got the Commanders having a 10% chance. 1 out of 10.
If that's not something you want to, run into the wall with right there, I don't know what it is.
All right. We got the 2 seed on the line tonight. 2 seed or no playoff for Joe Brady, Josh Allen, James, I'm the better cook, and the Buffalo Bills traveling to Mike McDaniel and the same old story, Miami Dolphins. Who do you got tonight? Buffalo at Miami.
I'm going Miami. And I don't like the pick. But I think Miami pulls it off.
All right. It's okay. I'll give you I'll feed you in a second. Key, who do you got in this game?
Buffalo. I mean, we seen them earlier in the season. They didn't look that great, but they got hot at the right time. James Cook's been running lights out. Josh Allen's been playing okay, playing turnover free. I mean, he might have an interception here and there, but he's not turning the ball over crazy. The defense is coming out. I don't see them losing to Miami. Miami doesn't have Waddle. Two key pieces on their defensive line is out, and Jalen Phillips and Chubb, who just tore his ACL. I can't see the Bills losing this game, and they're done. What 11 win team is not going to get in the playoffs off of that? So
no, Miami would be in the playoffs. Miami's earned their playoff spot.
Yeah, Miami would be in the playoffs. I'm talking about Buffalo,
Oh yeah, you're right.
That's great. That's absurd to me. But they put themselves in this position where they should already been in. Like they said, you don't want to come down to the last game in the division to rely on you to win, and you're in. Because pretty much that's what's going to happen. Buffalo wins, they're in. They take over the division. Miami drops down 5. But I got Buffalo winning.
I think Miami drops down to 6 if they lose. I think Cleveland takes
one of them.
That's all right. Jalen Waddle is out. Raheem Mostert is out. Javon Holland has been downgraded to questionable and is not expected to play. Bradley Chubb has been placed on IR. Xavier Howard is out. Won't play. In the cheesiest and crappiest fight song in the history of football, the Bills make me want to shout, throw my hands up and shout, come on now, don't forget to say. They literally ripped off the song Shout and made it their fight song. It is the worst fight song. That's their fight song, I swear to you. Right hand of God. Did you not know that? Did I just tell you that right now?
Yes, I never knew that.
That is their fight song. When they score a touchdown, we give Fly Eagles Fly. They go, the Bills make me want to shout. And they play Shout. But I'll take nobody circles the wagon like the Buffalo Bills tonight to lock up the 2 seed. You got a matchup of 3 versus 6. Kansas City Chiefs hosting the Miami Dolphins. The Tyreek Hill revenge game part 2 in Kansas City. That's going to be the game of walk-on weekend, baby. I'm ready for that. I'll take Buffalo 2 seed, Miami 6 seed. Guys, we have 10 minutes left. And in that 10 minutes, I have a plethora of fun for you guys. I want to discuss some of the NFL awards that aren't wrapped up. Okay? We'll start with this one. MVP is all but wrapped up. I'm not asking you if you think Lamar's going to win. He's going to win. You're welcome. I've spoiler alerted. Does he deserve to win? Should Lamar Jackson be the MVP?
No. And that's all I'm going to leave on it. I'm not going to touch on it. I'm not going to break it down. I'm not going to analyze it for you because I would rob you of the 10 minutes that we have left. And that's just not fair. But no, Lamar doesn't deserve the MVP. Lamar is not going out there. Lamar is not Jalen Hurts. He's not Patrick Mahomes. He's a great athlete and he's a great football player, guys. I'm not discrediting that at all. I dislike personally the Baltimore Ravens because every Ravens fan I've ever met my entire life, I want to punch them in their face. But especially one specifically. But anyways, moving on. I don't think Lamar has the same capabilities as a Jalen Hurts or a Patrick Mahomes to in the heat of the moment of a game when there is 50 seconds left on the clock or it's 4th down and 12 to put the team on his back and get them the first down or get them the win. Lamar doesn't have that to me.
Well, I got to ask you a question. If not Lamar, then who?
Well, then that, like I said, I take up your whole 10 minutes, man. Be careful what you're doing here, Gene. Because if not Lamar, then why not Tyreek Hill? Why not somebody who's not a quarterback? Why is it the most valuable player award? Why not Christian McCaffrey? Yes,
Yeah, I'm all right with CMC. I agree with CMC. That would have been my pick.
Yes, agreed. I don't think Brock Purdy should have got it. That's what's crazy is every single team that has an MVP caliber player on it, they'll go, oh, not him, the quarterback. Like everybody was talking about Brock Purdy this year. Are you kidding me? Brock Purdy is a product of Jimmy Garoppolo on that San Francisco 49ers team. And every other little Tom, Dick, and Harry that has come through that San Francisco 49ers team. Christian McCaffrey makes plays happen. Christian McCaffrey wins games. Tyreek Hill makes plays happen. Tyreek Hill wins games. Lamar Jackson doesn't do that. So,
Key, who you have for MVP? Is it Lamar? Is that your pick? He's going to win. He's minus 10,000 odds. It's all but wrapped up.
Yeah, Lamar is wrapped up, but I wouldn't have went with Lamar. I would have even with Tyreek Hill, CMC. I just hate that's always a quarterback. We've seen AP win it, but then after that, it's been the quarterback ever since. But
I'll make it fun for you. You're going with who are you going with?
CMC.
All right, so then who's your offensive player of the year? I'm guessing you're going CMC there then, right? CMC and Tyreek Hill are the two favorites for the award, CeeDee Lamb being third.
Tyreek Hill.
So if you're giving CMC the MVP, you're giving Tyreek Hill the offensive player of the year. What are you doing, Chase?
I'm giving it to CMC.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm giving it to CMC.
Because the other point of that is CMC is a utility player where Tyreek Hill, don't get me wrong, like I got love for Tyreek Hill and his ability to play. But you can't plug in Tyreek Hill the same way that they plug in Christian McCaffrey.
I agree with you 100%. We're going to move on to defensive player of the year. There's 3 names that could win this award. This award, I don't think is wrapped up yet, in my opinion. Although there is a favorite, there's 3 people that can win this award. There's TJ Watt, who's the sack leader this year. There's Micah Parsons, and there's Myles Garrett. 3 of these names are here. By the way, Jalen Johnson should be up there too. That's between me and the wall. That's fine. But between those 3 names, one of them doesn't belong. And nothing against, you guys know, if he wasn't a Cowboy, he'd be one of my favorite players. Nothing against Micah Parsons. He doesn't belong in the same category right now. Myles Garrett and TJ Watt have had miles better seasons. I don't even think it's statistically close. Who's your defensive player of the year this year? Is it Myles Garrett? Is it TJ Watt? Or are you wrong?
It's Myles Garrett.
I'm with you, Chase. I think it's Myles Garrett also. What that Browns team has done this year, and we'll get into Coach of the Year shortly, and thank God that the odds makers have finally fixed this. By the way, I'm going to win a pretty penny on my Kevin Stefanski 15-1 bet that I made. We'll talk about that in a second. But thank God the odds makers finally fixed that. But what that Browns team has done this year on their 4th quarterback, missing their starting right tackle, their backup right tackle, their starting left tackle, their starting all-pro running back, their starting quarterback. Woo-hoo-hoo. Give me Myles Garrett, baby. Okay, who you got? You got Myles Garrett also?
I got TJ.
Woo-hoo. I mean, listen, you can make an argument for him. Leads the league in sacks, 19 sacks. From the little edge rusher position he plays, the guy's always around the football. He's got a nose for the football. Statistically, TJ's probably the answer. If you're just looking at stats like tackles, sacks, etc. But the next generation, next level stats tell me that double teams that Myles Garrett gets the fast to fight through, the way that offenses have to scheme against him. I'm going Myles Garrett, but I get it. I respect your.
I mean, you can't go either one that wins. I'm okay with. Because they both are great talents. TJ can get to the interceptions. I think he's like leading them Pittsburgh franchise for interceptions when it comes to defense, and then Myles Garrett just goes to disrupts people. You can't go wrong either one.
I'm going to move on, and we're not really going to talk about offensive rookie of the year in the interest of time. It's CJ Stroud. You're welcome. Defensive rookie of the year. There's a favorite. There's a long shot that won't win, but he deserves to be in the conversation. I'll read you the top 5, and you tell me which one. I'm going to read you the odds. Jalen Carter's a minus 225. Will Anderson's a plus 225. Kobe Turner, the defensive tackle for the Los Angeles Rams. I know a lot of you don't know who he is. It's plus 600. Devin Witherspoon is plus 5,000, and Brian Branch is plus 6,600. That's kind of weird to me. I'm an Eagles fan. Jalen Carter does not deserve this award. If it was a 10-week award, Jalen Carter would have won it. Not a 10-week award. Season's not 10 games. Conditioning matters. I'm giving it to Will Anderson Jr. with my second place being Brian Branch from Detroit at plus 6,600. That is absurd. Love what Devin Witherspoon's done this year. But Will Anderson Jr. was my pick before the year. Will Anderson Jr. was my pick coming out of Alabama. And Will Anderson Jr. is my pick now. Chase?
I can't agree more. Will Anderson was my pick. I think Will Anderson, one of the biggest reasons why Will Anderson should take this award, not just because of how he played on the field, or one of the big reasons why he will, DeMeco Ryans.
I think Will Anderson Jr. was going to be an absolute monster no matter where he went, but I don't disagree with what you're saying.
Yeah, I agree. I think he was going to be a monster no matter where he went. But I think
he's the best defensive player. I think he's the best defensive player coming out of this draft, bar none. Watching him in Alabama was a treat to anybody that did. Key, who do you got for defensive rookie of the year?
They're going to give it to Will Anderson. Again, not knocking his talent, but it's crazy how nobody talks about Kobe Turner. Maybe because he sits next to Aaron Donald. The man has 9 sacks that nobody's talking about. But no, I do like Will Anderson. But I'm gonna go with Turner though.
Kevin Stefanski is now a minus 1,000 favorite for coach of the year, and my $50 bet on him plus 1,600 is going to pay off greatly, and as it should. But DeMeco Ryans deserves some conversation in this piece. If it was your award, quickly, because we only have a minute left, would it be DeMeco Ryans or would it be Kevin Stefanski?
DeMeco Ryans.
I got DeMeco.
I got Kevin Stefanski. What they've done in Cleveland is insane. And now I'm going to end this show this week being heartless. Heartless. Comeback player of the year should 100% be Joe Flacco. We're going to give it to DeMar Hamlin, who's played 13 snaps this year. And listen, granted, I'm so glad he came back from what happened to him last year. But come on, man.
I said the same thing.
It's like it's not right.
He played 5 games, 2 tackles. He's been a healthy scratch all year. I said Flacco or Tua, possibly, maybe, but Flacco's going to win.
You all know that's not DeMar Hamlin. He's what we call an industry plant. That's not DeMar Hamlin.
All right, Cat Williams. Listen,
there was no better way to end this show.
100% was not a better way. Guys, I really appreciate everybody tuning in for our first reintroduction of the Sunday Morning Drive. We will be running through the Super Bowl this year on Northeast Streaming Sports Productions and Sports Empire Network. I'm the NFL genius, Gene Walzak. That's Chase CR Media. And that's the top of the key to the city. And we are signing out.
I mean, you can see right now, without LeBron, Lakers are struggling.
Let me tell you about a team I hate, all right? I know the Dallas Cowboy fan is here, so I had to make sure he knew how much I hate this team.
I'm ready.
I've often said that